Hello and welcome to the DTF1 podcast, where we are always down to Formula One. I'm gonna drag it out every time. I'm your host Angus. This is my co-host Timothy.
Hello,
Hello,
Ango.
Timothy.
How are you, mate?
Oh dear, Trent.
Yeah, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm alright. What are we doing today? Are we just debriefing? What was the place where the last race just was?
We'll just have a chit chat, Monza.
We'll split it up though. We'll split it up. We'll just debrief and then we'll do a preview next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think next week we'll have you got Singapore coming up, which you're in Singapore. So I'm going to get you to do the podcast while you're walking around the track. That'll be cool.
Oh yeah.
That'd be different.
Just carry me mic around. Oh yeah.
There you go. No. Anyway, we a bit late this one, isn't it? So we skipped a week. We apologise. Last week was a bit hectic for me. I was racing at Sandown, so I had a few things I had to tie off during the week to make sure I was ready to go for that. But no excuse on our end. But it was a good. I didn't mind the Italian Grand Prix. I don't know about you. What did you think?
Oh, should we start with star rating then? Should we start with a star rating?
Yeah, all right.
I'll give it a. Ooh, hang on, I'm trying to remember now. Did anything interesting happen? A bit of a charge through the. I'll give it a 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll give it a 3. It wasn't the worst. Okay. Wasn't the best. One of those ones.
I think if it had restarted at the end, not finished behind safety car, I probably would have been a bit more generous. But yeah, other than that, not a lot happened. De Vries is fucking worth a chat. We'll get to that. Carlos's charge to the field and so was Lewis's. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Other than that, not a whole stack happened.
Yeah.
Max had a few place grid penalty and was fucking
just didn't make any difference.
In control of the race again by lap 4. That's an exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's just. I know you don't like hearing it, but car aside, that guy is on a complete another level this year. Even Checo can't even touch him. Not even close.
Yeah,
that shows it's more than the car. It's him as well. Anyway, we'll get into that in a minute, but let's start with practice. So, Nick De Vries, he stepped in the Aston for P1. His second rookie driver practice for the year. So the first one was Barcelona and the Williams, in which
each team have to offer a junior a P1 session, right?
Twice.
In each car. Yeah,
twice.
One in each car, twice for the season. Yeah. Cool.
So that's his second.
He was in an Aston on Friday morning.
Correct. Did quite well from what I could tell. He was slower than Stroll, only a couple of tenths, but I think that came down to confidence in the car. He lacked a little bit. I saw some data. He lacked a little bit in the high speed stuff. Is what it is. But from what we noticed with him is he's very good on the exit. He has this ability to drive off a corner, which really helps at a circuit like Monza. So if he got a call up in Singapore, it mightn't work as well. But anyway, later Friday afternoon, was it Friday night, Friday afternoon? Poor old Alex Albon had to get rushed into surgery for an appendix. Poor fella.
Yeah, I think that was Friday night, but I'm not 100% sure on the timeline. Yeah. Which at the time you're like, oh yeah, that's unfortunate. De Vries in the car, that'll be interesting. But then since then, quite a bit more information's come out after his surgery had a bad reaction to anesthetic, which is not unheard of, but very uncommon. And he stopped breathing.
Yes, and then he had to go on it was a breathing tube for a little while, and an induced coma. No good.
That's scary shit. Have you ever been under anesthetic? I haven't.
No.
Yeah, imagine if that's you. Your whatever it is, genes, or I guess, is one of the unlucky ones to have a reaction like that. That's
poor guy.
Not good. Yeah.
And he's a nice guy. Like he comes across as a real battler. Does his best. It's just unfortunate for anyone on the grid. To be honest, doesn't make any difference. But on the positive side of that, if there is any, Nick de Vries did get his first chance in Formula One. I think it's long overdue. Exceptional talent, having won F2, one F Formula E. Formula E is arguably F1 wash-ups. If you think about it, all the drivers in there, Stoffel Van Dorn.
Or never got there, or never got theirs.
Yeah.
But not necessarily due to talent. Like Cassidy's
No.
there.
Cassidy's there, Mitch Evans.
He's real good. And they just not in F1 because of luck or the way cards fell, not because of talent.
Correct, yeah.
So it's not bad. It's not bad.
And he went and won that. But like Felipe Massa was in it. There was all sorts of people. Yeah. Like it's legit. Like slower cars, admittedly, but still super competitive. He went and won that for Mercedes. He's a talented man. Similar sort of career path to the other guys. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, so he gets his shot. He gets one practice session, then straight into qualifying around Monza. That's thrown in the deep end. If I've ever seen it, I know he did P1 in the Aston, but like,
different car.
For the car you're going to be racing, which is so different in a series like Formula One. It's not a series where you got control chassis and most stuff's the same. They're like each of those cars is wildly different. The way they approach the engineering challenge, the way it would be to drive. So he goes in one practice session and then immediately outperforms. Oh, poor bloke! Immediately outperforms Latifi in quali in his first ever qualifying session.
What he did was he just grabbed before he got in the car. Before Nick got in the car for qualifying, he grabbed the hammer, grabbed the nail. And when he finished qualifying, just nailed it in Latifi's coffin, didn't he? Like that's it. You're out. So you're out of Formula One, my friend. Goodbye.
If that's a fair assessment for what happened in qualifying, then the race was with a fucking nail gun. Was with a nail gun, wasn't it?
He shot about 17 nails into his coffin.
Oh dear.
No. Anyway, it's good. I listened to some interviews of him, and he's just so thankful. Like I just love it, and I respect it. He's just so happy, and he's just, I can't believe I got this chance, and da-da-da-da-da, and he just gave it his all, and I really, really respect that. He hasn't been gifted it, hasn't been handed it. Like, he's had to work for this. So he appreciates it more than the next guy, which I'd love to see him get a full-time drive. I don't see why he won't now, to be perfectly honest.
He'll have to. I think he's got many options now. I think Alpine are probably knocking on his door. Williams 100% would be like, yep. For points on debut, we'll take him. Thank you very much. Possibly even some other options. So qualifying. Anything else happen noteworthy in qualifying? I think a Ferrari pole around Monza is always exciting. It's always
a bit of a surprise. Do you think? I thought Red Bull would be far and away favourites.
I don't. Yeah, that Red Bull is really good in a straight line. I really thought they'd be more dominant, and they were in the race. To be fair. It's just that Ferrari's one lap pace. I don't know what it does, whether it just switches its tyres on well or what. But
I did hear they ran the thick rear wing on the Red Bull, so a little bit more downforce. They didn't run the full Monza spec car.
Why?
I think the intention was they had the horsepower to drive through the extra downforce and drag over the other cars, so they could carry a little bit more through the parabolic or onto the main, onto the straight, and they'd be able to get away with it. So they could brake a little bit later.
And they'd be able to pass when he had to start slightly back, or he'd be able to defend if needed.
Whereas Ferrari ran full slippery setup.
What is your take on... Okay, that makes sense. What's your take on engine penalties? Like, again, like the back 6 to 7 places on the grid were made up of people with engine penalties plus Max in whatever he started, 6, 7. In terms of... You've got to be penalised for going through your allocation, I get it, but is it kind of taking a bit of sizzle out of qualifying? Like, we more or less knew Charles was going to pole that, right? Carlos had engine penalty. Max had engine penalty. Like, any serious challenger to Charles for pole had an engine penalty. So you're like,
Sorry?
even if he puts it on third, he's on pole. Like, did it take a bit of something out of quali? Do you reckon?
But even if they get a penalty, don't they call qualifying result the qualifying result? So
No. I think it's after penalties are applied. I'm pretty sure. And I'm only going off. Do you remember in Schumacher's last year, 2013, he stuck it on pole in Monaco?
Yep.
But in the Mercedes, but he had a penalty, and I remember that coming up at that time, and it didn't count as a pole to his tally, his records.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, anyway.
But I mean,
Didn't matter.
you know what I mean. You know what
Yeah.
I mean, though. Regardless, stats aside, whether it counts as a pole or not, we more or less went into qualifying knowing Charles starting on first on Sunday.
The bit that annoys me is, and it comes up regularly, should the penalty be applied to the team or the driver? It's not the driver's fault. I know that there's a no I in team and it's a team sport, but should you not just apply maybe a points penalty to the team and then just let it run? I don't know. I get both sides.
I think, and I'm really just playing devil's advocate there, as in, did it take the sizzle out of quali, out of Sunday a little bit, like out of Saturday a little bit? To be honest, I think I like it because you get jumbled up grids. It's like it has its benefits. It has its benefits for the Sunday, but
doesn't make any difference to Max.
Well, that's the thing. See, if things were a little more level playing field this year, it could have made for some really good races over the last few rounds. It could have.
Yeah,
but the way that Red Bull is and the way Max is driving, it doesn't matter. Put him on last. Like, take a rear fit. Start him in pit lane. He'll be fucking by the first round of pit stops.
Like, I was going to say, I think if you took Max out of the equation this year altogether,
it's
Checo's
got championship.
It's quite the championship. Max is just absolutely phenomenal. Like,
that's fair.
On a whole nother level. But I don't know. There was a lot of penalties, and it took them hours to figure out who was where.
Yeah, I don't get that. How's that hard?
You know what? Who was? I don't know if it was Martin Brundle was talking about that. It makes it very confusing for the newer generation of fans.
It does.
Who my hero qualified second. No, mate, he's 14th.
He'd been there. You're like, what?
What? Why?
Yeah.
Because he took too many engines. Oh, what does that mean?
So I was in
confusing.
I was in Barcelona for this round and watching it with a friend from there, and explaining, like, who's not into Formula One at all. And I didn't realize how much nuance there was to the sport till I was like, oh, and this happened. They're starting there because of this, and then this happened. And see that graphic? That means when they're within 1 second, they can open this little flappy thing and they can go faster down the straight. Makes it bloody
this flappy thing.
As I'm explaining it all, it's like I'm like, it's actually quite a bit to this. Like, they could definitely do with, I don't know, simplifying it a bit without losing what makes it special. I don't know.
Just needs people like DTF1 to explain it.
Yeah. We'll bring you up to speed. Mind you, to be honest, I think because we're so deep in it and have been fans for so long, I don't know if we're great at explaining things to beginners. Like, we don't
glaze
really
over
explain it. We kind of assume prior knowledge, which maybe we shouldn't do. Like, I'm sure it's good for some people who know their shit and they get a few extra insights out of us, so that's cool. But for the beginner that's listening to us, I think probably eyes would glaze over. Like, what are they even
talking about?
We could probably use a bit too much jargon.
Okay, on that
knowledge. Anyway, go on.
Most of the penalties were based around. So I'll do a real quick summary. I won't give exact numbers, but each team has a number of an allocation for components. So that is number of engines, number of gearboxes, number of exhaust systems, number of for the whole year.
For the whole year. Yep.
And they're allowed to use them as you wish. But if you've used all four, engines, say it's 4 engines, you've used 4 engines, and you take a 5th one, you get a penalty. And for every penalty you take, the penalty increases. Or depending on which it is, if you
And
take
which
more,
component.
so if you
Yeah.
take 2 extra engines, the penalty is going to be higher than taking 1 extra engine, so on and so forth.
But yes.
And it's very convoluted, I think, in terms of.
But they also become irrelevant at some point too. Like in my mind, if you're going to take a bit of a penalty, say you're going to take a 10-place penalty for something, to me, I'm then like, just take everything. Take a battery, take a gearbox, take a MGUK, take an MGUH, take an internal combustion engine. Like, just fucking take the lot. Cop the 45 place grid penalty, which obviously doesn't exist. There's not 45 cars on the grid. So, like, why take one component for? This is in a sporting sense I'm talking about. Like, it's obviously not the wisest use of resources and money, but in a sporting sense, like, if you're down to 10th, just take another 10 penalty, 10 spots. You'll pass those 10 cars in bloody 5 laps anyway. And
but I think,
and just take everything new. Just beef your pool up, you know?
kind of, but I think the issue you run there is if you've got. Oh, what has happened to you?
I'm eating.
Oh, nice. If let's say you decide to go and, all right, I'm going to take this exhaust, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
You've used one of your allocation, but you might really, 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 really need that later in the season. So I think you shouldn't use it as you need to.
But it's a pool.
So yeah, but you've only got.
You can stick it in for this one race, take the penalty, then take it out of the car again. I mean, you've got a 1 race old bit of kit in your pool, you know.
But you could have a 0 race old bit of kit in your pool.
Huh.
I don't know. Anyway,
we're gone.
We're fans for a reason, I suppose.
Well, I don't know, mate. I play a decent amount of F122 on PS5.
Oh, F1 Manager. Have you got it yet?
No, have you?
No, but I've heard about it.
What is it? I never fully got this. So I've always played, for example, use a football example. I've always played FIFA, like the normal FIFA, where you pass and you shoot and like you're playing the game. But I know there's always been this like football manager version of it where you're the coach and you buy and sell and trade and blah, blah, blah. So is this like the F1 version of that? You don't drive the races?
No, you don't. Yeah, you literally manage everything. Driver contracts, like everything from what I can tell. Like it's very, very, very in-depth compared to what, like in F122, when you do a career, you have a little bit of say.
You do a bit of that. You decide.
But this is a whole, whole nother level.
Okay. Do you make like strategy calls during the race? Probably.
I think so. Yep. Everything.
That'd be pretty cool.
And you hire different engineers. No, I don't. No. I think that's a kind of game that you need to be. It's like any other strategy game or proper first-person shooter where you need to be fully focused to be playing well, and I'd get distracted too quick.
A lot of time.
Anyway, we've dived off topic here. So qualifying.
Interesting.
Thing.
You've just reminded me of one thing.
Oh yeah.
We got some catching up to do in our season of F122. You and I, co-op season. We're still back at fucking Paul Ricard or something.
We're still at France. We're only like 6 races old.
Yeah, all right. Well, we need to get onto that. Try get up to Singapore by Singapore, eh?
Okay. Yeah, we can try. Yeah.
So, sorry, back to you. Back to you in the studio.
I wanted to touch on the Zhou versus Bottas battle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel Zhou is doing an extremely good job, and I feel he's earned his right to a drive next year. I don't know about you, but let's look at qualifying, okay? So, if I have a look, Q1, Zhou did a 22 dead. Bottas was a 22-2. Q2, something happened to Zhou, and he did 22.5 to Bottas's 22.2 again. So he technically had 2 tenths on him. Something just happened in Q2. So He's been doing that consistently, from what I can tell.
Um, so I was paying close attention to this for the first, I don't know, 5, 6 rounds, and he was getting dusted up pretty good, like by Bottas. And
hmm
then something switched around, I don't know, Azerbaijan kind of area. And I feel like he's
Good,
kind of had him covered, like at least equal, kind of had him covered. Am I missing
absolutely.
anything major? I don't
I
know.
don't reckon. No, I think you're right. I think he's he's been good. He's been getting points. There was an article just recently talking about, does he? What is he? He's not in a rush to make any decisions. Da, 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 da. But I think it's fair to
He's
say that
not.
he's no. I think he's focusing on the task at hand at the minute. But I think he's, you know,
Well,
well deserved.
I think he's well deserved to keep it. Like, let's not pretend he's sitting around waiting for a phone call from Mercedes or Ferrari, though.
Would you want to call from Mercedes?
No, I was making a point, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I think
true.
he's done enough to keep it, but I don't think other teams would be coming and bashing his door down, right?
Probably not.
Yeah, which is not bad.
He's
for your
beating
first
Bottas
season,
though,
I guess.
and Bottas has won races and whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I found that interesting because we haven't talked about that battle much. I don't think, if ever. We only really talked
A
about him
little
when he
bit.
rolled it in Silverstone.
Oh yeah, true. No, we haven't talked about that much. Ricardo and Norris, we've talked about plenty. We don't really need to talk about that anymore. That's
He
all
found his
resolved
mojo.
itself. Here,
Yeah, he did.
it was a bit of a Trulli train though. Like, remember Jarno Trulli used to fucking back the whole field up.
Yeah, true.
He was running a bit of a Trulli train behind him in a DRS train, but I mean, it was better. It was better.
He was in fifth before the engine had launched itself in the race. Not bad.
Are we talking about the race now? Or are we still
Yeah, I think the only other notes I had were what we covered anyway. So,
all right. Tips first.
All right.
Do you have them?
I already looked. You've definitely won this.
Really?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Oh, you're fucking coming back strong.
You are. You really are. You really are. So you had. Okay. Let me bring up the genuine results for anyone who doesn't know. Race result. Here we go. So
Max
P1, Max P1,
Max P3.
Yep. Max had all 21 positions. Leclerc P2, Russell P3, Sainz P4, Hamilton P5. Okay.
And that's from
on the back of that.
I'm pretty impressed with that for Hamilton, if I'm honest.
Oh, Sainz was rear of grid too, my friend.
Yeah, I know, but the Ferrari's a jet. The Mercedes isn't.
He raced really well, and I watched Jolly and Palmer's analysis. He raced really, really well.
He did. He came through the field like a lot.
And really quickly.
Than Hamilton did. Yeah.
Hamilton got that lucky pass for two for one deal as well, which he lucked out on. But Sainz did exceptionally well. Smart, whatever. It was a great pass. Yep. But you had Max, so you won that. You had Charles P2. He got P2. Third was Carlos. Fourth was Checo. Fifth was Albon.
Okay.
So
I'm really
close.
I'm really being carried by getting the two right there. Yeah, go on. When you?
I had Max. We both did that. Then I had Checo because I assumed that the slippery Red Bull. Then I had Charles, Carlos, so he was right in fourth, and Norris.
Yeah.
So, I got two closer than you, but you definitely won that.
I'm claiming that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Look, I'll give it to you.
So what's the score?
That's tips is 7 to TH.
Yep.
And 5 to AB.
He's back in it. And do I still have you already given me the bonus point for when Max picking when Max wraps up the championship or not? Is
Oh
that one
yeah,
still
and
in
I
play?
actually didn't give myself a. I didn't put the bonus point on for me for Piastri, did I?
Yeah, you might not have.
Okay,
And
so
I
yeah,
don't
all
think
right.
I don't think I get the other one yet, though. Technically,
Yeah,
because you're
mate, it
wrong.
is. It
You're
definitely.
wrong, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get it
All right.
right.
No, but you got closer than me for sure.
Okay, cool. All right,
All
so
right,
it's
so it's
one. Add
8-6.
one each. 8-6. Oh, we're on here. We're on here.
Oh, you're
Oh,
back. You're back, boy.
this is what Charles going to do in the last. How many races are left? 6.
Well,
This is
let's
what
not talk about
Charles going to do
Singapore, but
in the last 6 races. You're going to win them all.
um,
Max is going to DNF them all, and this is going to be like my tipping results. You watch. Go on.
so Max,
Yeah.
he was quick.
Yeah.
That's 30 wins for him now. That's a
He
lot.
was. That is a lot. He was quick, but my lord, Ferrari duffed the strategy again.
Was it too bad? It wasn't that bad for Leclerc, to be fair.
It was. I think there's no need for that race to be a 2-stop.
Yeah, and also they said that Carlos pitted for another set of softs at the end when he could have jumped Russell. Because they pitted under safety car when he could have just stayed out, and Russell pitted, so he could have jumped him automatically.
Yeah,
but they pitted to cover him putting new tires on for a restart.
Yes,
because they knew they would have had him easy, but it didn't work out that way. Yeah, Sainz and Hamilton, they drive through the field. That was really good.
Pretty impressive.
Perez is just lackluster, yeah.
De Vries really solid points on debut. Very impressive.
Yeah, great drive. And you know what? I watched a video of him. He's saying, "Oh, the mental capacity he's got to be able to look at things outside of what he's doing is really, really good." Like he was saying, he doesn't know where the buttons or anything are, but he goes, "I need more high-speed diff. Where is it?" And the guy said, "The left green toggle on your left-hand side, the green toggle switch, adjust it to 12 o'clock or something like that. Diff, high speed diff number 7, which is clockwise or something like that." And he said, "Yep, copy, done." Like, to be able to think of that stuff whilst doing your first race, he's definitely a talented man.
That's pretty impressive.
He really showed Latifi. Like, would he have beaten Albon? I don't know. Maybe close. I'm not sure. We'll probably never know.
They'd be close, but it's the bloke's first Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's right. Albon's done 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, very good. He did have an issue with the right front brake disc. I don't know if you heard about that. If the race had have resumed, he wouldn't. If it didn't have a safety car, they wouldn't have made it to the end.
Really?
So he got lucky. Yep. They were already telling him to manage it, and then he got the safety car, and then he was home and hosed from there.
That's probably worth talking about. Their inability to restart that race. Like that was a it seemed like a clusterfuck because everyone was stopping immediately to put softs on for the sprint to the end. That then meant the leaders weren't behind. Sorry, I should be careful how I say that. Because that happened, it was harder for race control to put the safety car out in the right spot. And
it took him a lap and a half to pick up the leader.
Exactly. So then the ability to pit under safety car made it a mess because they all did it. That then made it harder for race control to pick up the leader. Then they did all the fucking bullshit that they're supposed to do that they didn't do last year in Abu Dhabi. And then race is finished. They also, until the safety car had picked up the field, I don't think they put the lifter on the track to get Ricciardo's car out of the way. So the whole thing took like what to me felt like an excruciatingly long amount of time. Do you think, A, what do you reckon of that? And B, do you think if something happens within the last 10 laps of the race, just throw a red and restart the thing? Or is that getting too NASCAR-y? Over to you, Tim.
The red flag restart thing, for me, I didn't honestly, didn't know it existed till I saw it happen in Azerbaijan that time.
It's newish.
Honestly,
it's
newish. For me and my history and growing up and all the racing I've done,
single
it's
file rolling restart. Yep.
single file rolling restart on safety car. Simple as that.
Yep.
I think a red flag restart is unfair on the leader. I think I think a safety car restart was warranted. That's fine.
100%.
The leader still
That's
got
not
his
even
position.
Up for debate, I don't think. Like, they should have fucking got on with it and got that thing restarted. I agree with that. I don't think that's really up for debate. But since they seem to be too inept to do that often, do you take the pressure off the marshals? Do you take the pressure off the race director, who's clearly a bit of fucking, like, not that flash?
Nufty.
Do you take all that pressure off? Just go red flag. Fucking take all your time in the world to get your bloody digger out.
But
get it on Ricardo's roll hoop. Get it the fuck out of the way. Everyone gets a set of fresh tyres because you can work on the car under park for May, or should that be allowed? And off you go, race to the end. To me, it feels a bit NASCAR-y, but it's
that means you just do it every time there's a crash. I'll just red flag it. Just red flag it.
Every time. I mean, only when it's towards the end of the race. And only...
Why couldn't they restart it one lap after the end? Well, maybe there's a fuel concern. Maybe there's a... Like,
what do you mean? With the car that
they could have probably restarted and done a one-lap sprint to the end. That could have been
I don't think they could have, because of how long they fucked around. I don't think they could have. If they'd done it properly and well, they could have. But for how long they took for the safety car to back the leaders up, how long they took to let lap cars through, how long they took to get Ricardo's car off the fucking track, they couldn't have restarted it the way they did it.
Is there a rule that says they can, if it's a safety car, they're allowed to extend the race by a lap to allow for a single lap?
For a single flyer?
I don't think it would, because teams fuel the cars for that distance.
That's true. But safety car saves you fuel, so you get it back. You get it back. Not all of it, maybe. Yeah, interesting. I don't know what the answer is. I just think what they're doing is bad. Like it last year. Like, take Abu Dhabi last year. It should have, like, if things had been done correctly, it should have finished under safety car, right? Lewis fans will say that's good. Max fans will say that's unfair. But I think everyone would say it's an anticlimactic way to settle a world championship, right?
What they did was
worse, I think. But anyway, we won't go into that. If it had finished behind safety car, regardless who you're a fan of or not, I think everyone would agree that's a bit of a dud way to finish a cracker world championship, right? This race, again, had the opportunity to be a cracker of a finish. It backed Charles up it backed Max up to Charles. We could have had a little fucking battle to the end. Again, it's an anticlimactic way to finish what could have been a nice finish to a Grand Prix.
The debate is always going to be what's the best for the sport and what's best for the fans and the entertainment. Two are different. For the sport, I think the best option for the sport is to just not red flag it, just to continue under safety car until the incident's cleared. If you've got a lap, you've got a lap. If you don't, you don't. Simple as that. Every other category does that. But from a fan and an entertainment perspective, yeah, hell yeah, red flag it. That would have been grass. That would have been really cool.
Red flag, get me wrong. Have a standing start and off we go. If you 100%. If you led the whole thing lights to red flag and then you duff the start and finish 8th, too bad.
But
don't duff the start.
I think teams would agree they don't necessarily care either way. They might argue either way, but they would rather consistency. Everyone wants consistency. You want to know that if there's 6 laps to go and there's a crash, it's red flag. Simple as that.
And I think that's yes. And then you can make better decisions. I think that's what made Abu Dhabi last year so harsh on Mercedes is if they'd have known it wouldn't restart, leave the car out. If they'd have known it would restart, you go and put fresh softs on it. Like there'd be a bit more certainty in making that strategy call rather than what it was, which is we're going to take a punt here that doesn't restart.
I think the rule should be make it a thing. 10 laps to go, or sorry, maybe call it minutes because some tracks are very different in terms of time.
Yeah,
like a Singapore's a minute 45 lap versus a 1 minute 12 or 22 lap or whatever it was at Monza. So let's say 15 minutes from the end. If there's an incident that's going to take more than 5 minutes to clear, red flag, and then it's consistent. Done. Everyone knows that's good. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Happy days.
It's a bit gimmicky and it feels a bit like NASCAR, but
At least it's consistent.
I think I like it. Yeah.
It would look cool. Imagine if that had been red flagged. Norris might have, got a good start this time instead of the first one and jumped a couple of spots.
Yep.
Carlos Sainz could have jumped into the lead.
Yep.
Who knows? Yep. Unfair on Max. I mean, I wouldn't like to be Max because he's just gone and dominated that race, and then it gets red flagged and he all of a sudden has to try and redo his whole start procedure again and try and get away with the win. That's unfair. But if he knows that is what the rule is, he'll accept that.
Yes.
If it's made up on the spot, it'd be upsetting. Yeah. Like him or not, you'd still be. It's unfair.
Made up on the spot. Sounds like last year.
Apparently, Michael Massey's coming back to it. Well, he's back in Australia, and I think he's. Who knows? He'll probably end up.
Supercars, you'd say.
Probably end up doing one of my races. I'll let you know.
Go and have a word with him. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else to unpack? I don't think so.
Not from the race, I don't think.
But I think. Yeah.
No, you were about to say driver of the day.
No, I wasn't. I was going to say we got some probably silly season driver market stuff.
Yes. I've got a bit of news. I've I've quickly scanned through the most recent news from last week or so. First thing I want to touch on would be the Herder saga. Now, I disagree with this whole thing. I think it's unfair that they don't rate IndyCar as high as it. They don't give it enough super license points. My opinion.
How is it given points? Like equate it. It's less than Formula 2?
I'm not sure. Yeah, which is stupid. You can't tell me that a series like that is less than Formula 2. It's the second biggest open wheeler category in the world, and all of those guys are equal, or if not more.
You're pushing it. Yeah, I take your point.
Well, but the difference is F2's got rookies and stuff driving in it, whereas IndyCar is all paid drivers. It's a professional sport. So you've got the driver who is used to the media pressure and being paid and the sponsor pressure, and like they're a more developed, more rounded driver than what they'd be in Formula 2. They're still kids. You know what I mean? From that perspective.
Yeah, I take your point. Here's what I don't like about the whole argument. One of IndyCar drivers was cracking off about it, saying it's fucking not fair. It's this and that. Like, talent should dictate who gets to Formula One. The super license system was brought in to stop pay drivers. I agree. Drivers should not get seats in Formula One because of commercial considerations. It should be about talent. That's why I think this is unfair. I agree with everything he said, except I think the only reason Herder's under consideration is commercial considerations. And they have been open as fuck about that we want an American driver in Formula One. Red Bull want an American driver. So you can't have it both ways. You can't argue that oh, Jesus, get your fucking thoughts together, Andre. You can't argue that the point of the super license system is to avoid drivers being picked for commercial reasons, while simultaneously arguing that Herder should be allowed to have the seat.
Yeah.
They're two conflicting
but
points.
They've got if they want an American driver, they'll just pick up Logan Sargent, yeah? He's got enough super license points, I assume. Would he beat Herder? Probably not. I think the argument is Herder's one.
How good drivers are in the European feeder series.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think people underestimate how good guys are in IndyCar.
Well, I'd love to see. And again, to that point about it should be about talent, and Herder's got enough talent to be picked and to have a super license. Well, okay, if it's all about talent, then if that's apparently all this whole fucking argument is about is talent, right? Then sign Will Power.
It's too
Sign
old.
fucking. You know what I mean, though.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
There's many IndyCar drivers with enough super license points.
Yeah.
So if it's genuinely about talent, what the fuck are you talking about?
I was
Herder
listening
for?
to another podcast on this the other week, and it was the discussion of why IndyCar drivers aren't going down the F1 path. And the reason being is not that they necessarily aren't good enough or they not necessarily don't want to. It's that you have to give up a paid drive in a very competitive series to go and potentially not even go and do a year in F2 and not even get anything out of it.
That's what every kid who's trying to do in Formula One does. Most kids who are trying
But I
to
think
get
they're
to Formula
saying
One,
these guys are a little bit more developed. Are you saying that a guy like Will Power needs to go to Formula 2? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying if he wants it bad enough, he would.
The guy's won how many races and 2 championships, all the rest of it.
Forget should he. My point is just I don't fully buy that point, because if you want it bad enough, you would. Are you telling me Will Power hasn't made enough money that he can fucking not earn a living for a year?
I think he tried the F1. I swear he had a test in F1 back in the day.
Yeah,
long time ago.
But someone else then, like who else? I don't really know. Who else is good in
Scott McLaughlin, prime example.
McLaughlin, right? Okay. Say he really wanted to do F1. He would have the means to go and do a season in GP2. Should he have to? Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. Maybe it's a bit ridiculous. But like that can't be your only excuse, can it? It can't be your only excuse why there's not more IndyCar drivers making the jump. Because they have the means to. They have the means.
I feel there's got to be another. I feel there's got to be another route.
Probably.
Like I feel as though they probably don't need to have skip a season or have a hiatus just to have a chance. Like I feel as though there's got to be something, whether it's a summer series or I don't know.
I agree. I'm just saying if they wanted it bad enough, they would do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they would have the means to do that. Yeah.
For sure. I would.
Like, this has been real. I got some IndyCar titles. I've had some race wins. Ovals are fun and whatnot. I'm gonna take a step backwards, just take a step forward.
It would be good to see him though, because those IndyCar guys would be good enough. Like a guy like Will Power, and they're so good. Those guys, so good. Be good to see him in F1.
Who's the last person to come from IndyCar and try Formula One? Is it Borday? Far out. Am I even saying
Borday? Sebastian Borday. Yeah, probably. Yep.
That's the last person to try.
Scott Speed.
I don't think he was in IndyCar before.
Oh.
I don't think.
Oh, are you sure?
I'm pretty confident, but I'm not 100% confident.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Borday, who was a gun in, it was Champ Car at the time, was it not? It was gun in Champ Car. And
Champ Car was the weakest series, though. IRL was big, I remember. But anyway, regardless, it's still big.
Had more street courses.
Correct,
so it should be more similar to Formula One. Anyway, he came and did not much.
Yeah, but he had the chance.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it depends if you're talking about should they have the chance, or if you were then making the point of
yeah,
they're bloody good. They're bloody good. Like yeah.
Was he the best in Champ Car? I don't know.
He was dusting him. Yeah, he was hosing him back then.
I would like to see it though. I mean,
I'd like to see it. I would rather
be really
see
cool.
Will Power. I know he's older. I'd rather see a Will Power than a Herder though. And maybe I don't follow IndyCar.
Scott Dixon.
Enough. I don't actually follow IndyCar very closely at all. But maybe I'm not giving Herder enough credit. That's entirely possible. But I'd rather see one of the top guys.
I think what they say with Herder is, there's always those guys who are super naturally talented, who you see that just do things that are just unbelievable. He's that guy. he might not have had the wins and the success of some of the other guys, the consistency. But the thing with IndyCar is, like, 1 week you'll qualify on pole, the next week you're 14th. That's what it's so competitive. That's what makes it a good series from a driving perspective. He's one of those guys, I think, that every team raves about him, but he just is either making mistakes or not getting, I don't really know.
But you're assuming you can polish that diamond in the rough. They don't always polish up well.
No,
we know people who have more raw speed.
Are we talking about that same guy again?
Probably. More raw speed than most other drivers you can name that you've shared a track with, right? If not all, exactly, in terms of sheer raw speed, more than almost all or all. But the diamond doesn't necessarily polish up.
It's
the
race.
Necessarily get they don't necessarily get their shit together. If he's got big bloody balls on him and he can do fucking flat out sweepers faster than anyone else in IndyCar, but he's fucking late on the brakes and a great overtaker, but he makes a lot of mistakes. Like, and
anyway, I want to see it.
Yeah.
It would be good.
Specifically, or an
well, no, I'd like to see Scott McLaughlin because I know him and he's a great guy and a pure natural talent.
That would be really cool.
He won the pole. I'm fairly certain he won the pole award this year.
Most poles.
He's so good.
Was this his second year? Was this his second year in IndyCar?
Yep.
I think last year wasn't a full season though. He just did some odd rounds. It was.
Yep.
Oh man, I'm out of the loop with IndyCar
because he won the Rookie of the Year last season, and then
I saw he posted something. It was clearly it was on the
tongue in cheek.
Morning. Yeah, I'd love to know the backstory to this. If it was tongue in cheek or if it was an actual crack.
A stab.
It seemed tongue in cheek, but so they were obviously season finale on the Sunday. Did a post Monday morning, clearly dusty as fuck, hungover.
He loves a beer too. Oh man,
him and was that Joseph Newgarden, the other dude?
I think so.
The other dude who was sleeping on the floor was. And the caption was like just a couple of blokes with enough points for a super license.
So good.
Fair play.
And there was 3,000 comments. I was reading through the comments, and a guy's like, "Well, technically, you don't have enough points." Blah blah. And then someone else is like, "Well, no. According to the FIA website, he gets 17 points for the 2 Supercars championships plus this plus that. So yeah, he technically does have enough. So he has enough points to go to F1."
Oh, good. Do that then. Why Toro Rosso not talking to him? I'm sure Penske would release him to go to Formula One. Pick that kid up.
He's the kind of guy that I reckon would do well too. He's that guy that has the raw speed and has the polish. He's phenomenal.
You know what? And I please don't take this in the wrong way, but given his career path, that surprises me. I agree with you, but it's also surprising given he went from go-karts straight to tin tops, pretty much straight into supercars.
No downforce.
14 or something, wasn't he? When he started doing Dunlop series?
No, 16. Yeah. He did Formula Ford. He did Formula Ford.
Not much.
Barely. Yeah.
Anyway,
but regardless,
like no proper. The point I'm trying to make is no proper big, fast, serious open wheelers in his CV
at all,
and just goes straight to pretty much straight to supercars. 3-4 years of Dunlop series, then into the main series, a lot of years in the main series, and then to make what I'll say is late to make that switch to IndyCar is A, mind-blowing, and B, I have no idea how.
Imagine how hard that would be.
He's clearly legitimately good, like very, very
talented.
Good.
Yeah.
To do basically that. If you're trying to get to open wheelers, high-level open wheelers at a world-class level, to do the, let's say, wrong career path by the book, the wrong career path for so long, and then go and switch anyway and still be gun at it. Like, fucking how?
Yeah. And his first race was a street circuit and he qualified 5th. How do you even do that?
Either he's exceptional or that field is not as good as you're saying it is.
Yeah, I think, no. Yeah, well,
both.
Yeah, I think both.
Yeah.
Anyway, it would be good for IndyCar and good for world motorsport, I think, to have someone move over and do well. I think it would lift IndyCar because people just don't think anything of IndyCar. It's clearly the biggest outside of Formula One in terms of world known motorsport. It would just raise the profile for both and F1 in America. Clearly,
I've gone on a massive tangent here. Is Liberty Media a private equity
do they
company?
own it, IndyCar?
No. 'Cause my mind at first was like maybe they should buy IndyCar too and have like all the top open wheeled categories in the world. And then I went, hang on a second, is Liberty Media private equity? Because if they are, generally private equity company buys something to grow it for 5-ish years and then they sell it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to look that up. We can talk about that another episode. I'm wondering if they've bought this thing to hold it indefinitely or if they've bought it to grow it and flip it. Because if they did, they'd be coming towards the end of that 5 years now, wouldn't they?
Possibly. Sure. They'd be past 5 years.
Liberty Media buy F1. Hang on. I've got it. 2017. So they'd be looking to flip it now if they're looking to flip it.
Well, there's been no talk of it. Zero.
Yeah, so I guess they're not. Maybe they're not a private equity. Because remember, that's who bought supercars back in the day. That a private equity company bought it, and then the series shrunk over the next 5 years, so they did their dough on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
A couple of other things happened.
Told you it was a tangent. Go.
So Alpine are testing 3 drivers this week, or apparently 3 drivers. So Jack Doohan, another Aussie, who's really stepped it up in the last few rounds too. Have you noticed? It's like he realised he's got an F1 seat that's potentially in the works, and he's just gone and just starts winning.
Yeah. Okay.
De Vries and Giovinazzi. That's the 3. That'd be interesting to see how that pans out.
Apparently, Dan is like not in the frame for that seat at all.
He's out, my friend. They're saying he'll end up. De Vries will get wiped as 3rd driver for Merck because he'll get a full-time race seat, and they'll put Dan in as 3rd driver at Merck to potentially replace Hamilton in future.
Oh my god!
Big seat to fill.
Sorry, it is. Sorry, I'm still on this Liberty Media tangent. They literally only had 301 million upfront capital. All the rest they borrowed for it.
Jeez, what was the rest?
4.6 to buy for 4.6 billion.
Jeez,
that's not bad. I reckon we could have got 300 million capital together between me, you, and I don't know, about 47 other people.
300 million capital.
Yeah,
we could buy F1, and we'll just lease the rest of it.
Borrow the 4.3 billion to make the difference. Anyway, yeah. So you reckon, Dan 3rd driver at Merck is what you reckon?
Yep, I think so.
Probably good. I think he needs a sabbatical, and if next year is Lewis's last,
yeah, maybe he'll come back and get hosed by Russell. Nice.
I doubt it. I don't think so. I think that was a McLaren quirk. Personally, I still reckon he's got it. Go on.
Short and sharp, we need to press through this because we've run off on a massive tangent. New calendar just came out. Monaco back on until 2025. Good. Happy days.
Good. It'd be a disgrace to get rid of that. And Spa there. I mean, we knew that already, but Spa's still there. Save for another year. 1 year deal, I believe.
Something like that. It's kind of a waste, but yeah, apparently.
Is this calendar? I haven't seen it. Is this calendar the one where they're starting to move in a more eco-conscious way and trying to travel less?
Correct. Yeah. So they said something about if you flew to each race and stayed there and didn't go back to and from, it was 133,000 kilometers. I don't know if that's a lot
of air travel miles.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
It seems pretty short for a 23 race.
24 race. 24.
That seems pretty good.
One thing that happened, the F1 announced their calendar. So literally announced their calendar, and the weekend of Spa fell on the same weekend as the Spa 24-hour GT race. How's that? So F1 just decided they were on that weekend, and then Spa 24 Hour had to reschedule. Not even a word of a lie.
Well, that's the
So,
power of F1, isn't it? Like, what?
well,
No
so that's
track's
not
gonna
so
go,
good
no,
for
sorry, we're booked.
a friend of mine or my race team that I was driving for were meant to be doing the Spa 24 Hour next year. And now that the date got moved, they've cancelled it.
Why?
Something's happened it just wasn't possible with the car, and I don't really know, but sad. It's moved a fair bit, I think.
It's a year away. Surely.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a weekend.
No, I don't think so. But F1 shafted him. That's so bad. Anyway,
that's what
power of
happens
F1.
when you're the alpha on the playground.
Screw you, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Dragovic, 1P F2. It's all wrapped up, all done and dusted.
That's quite early. How many rounds out from the end is that?
I don't think it's too early, but let me see if I can figure it out for you. For F2 calendar. Thought I was prepared, but maybe I'm not. All right, so we've got Monza. There's only one round to go, so yeah, I wouldn't say it's wrapped up that early, but
still pretty early for an F2. Usually
Gasparina in November.
Oh, wow, that's a long break for them.
Yeah.
Don't even go, Felipe. Is it Felipe Dragovic? Is that right?
Yeah.
Don't even go to Abu Dhabi, bro. Just fucking.
He hasn't driven it, and so he also signed with Alpine. That's right, this week. So they've got Doohan. Yeah, they've got Doohan, not as a reserve, but just as a junior driver. So they've got him and Doohan.
Is he getting a crack at this shootout that's happening?
They haven't mentioned it. Yeah, that would be a failure. Yeah,
he'd
have to.
Getting a crack and he's not. Fuck off.
Yeah, but I think he's only newly signed.
Oh, it doesn't matter. How long does it take you to fly to fucking Hungary? Not that long.
Imagine how good would it be for Australia if Doohan goes and hoses everyone in that test, and then we've got two Aussies on the grid. That'd be grouse. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so. I think he'll get there eventually. He seems to be proving himself recently. I don't know. Yeah. He's still recovering from you not letting him on track that time.
as a midget.
As a midget.
Not
what you think we said.
As in the category, as in the racing category. It was called that. I swear. I can prove it. What was I going to say? See, that lit a fire in him. All the success is down to
attributed to you.
Absolutely.
Good for you, mate. Well done.
What was I actually going to say? While I see what you're saying, I'm also like, I just want to see good drivers make it. I don't really care if they're Australian or not.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, I care less and less about I used to be, don't get me wrong, 10 years ago, I would have been like, fucking Webber, Ricardo, Aussie, Southern Cross Tattoo, etc.
I just think it's more difficult.
Nowadays, I'm just like, like if they're good drivers and they got good attitude and good fucking values, I'm happy for them to be there.
I agree with both, but I just think it's more difficult for people like Australians, Brazilians, people who live really, really far away from where motorsport clearly is. You know, kids like Doohan may be a little bit different because he's wealthy as you get from his old man. But, you know, a kid like Piastri would have had to move away from his family. And yes, you could argue that that's what they want to do, but that wouldn't be easy for a young kid. You know, they're 15, 16 years old, moving away from their family to live by themselves.
Joe did that.
Yeah, it'd be very difficult. So
Sam did that from Brazil. I know we're talking about different leagues.
Dragovic probably is doing it as well. You know, like I think there's merit in people doing that. So
has Reese, talking of Senna, Reese, if you're fucking listening, have you watched Senna documentary yet?
I think he's lying to us.
I think he's lying. I don't think he watched it all. I think he just said something that sounded like generic enough that we might believe it. I don't think he has. We refused to speak to this friend until he watched Senna because he's newish to motorsport. Yeah. I've been following it for the last few years, newish compared to us, and doesn't know much of that history. So we're like, don't Google him. Don't look up Senna. Just go watch the doco. And we're not talking to you till you do.
Exactly.
And
We've spoken to him though, so we've gone against that.
I know
word.
we keep breaking the rule because we ask him questions, but then we remember, and then we're like, "Hey, wait, hang on a second, you've tricked us. Have you watched Senna yet?" And he said, "No, no, no." And then just a day or two ago, we're like, "Have you watched Senna yet?" And he said, "Yeah, I have." And then
He was a
said
big
something
advocate
that
for
sounded
safety
like,
or something, wasn't it?
"Yeah, what? What?
Well, it's true, but what?
What are you talking about?" Nah, he hasn't watched it. If you're listening, put it
Watch
on.
it
It's
now.
like 60 minutes. Just fucking watch it.
It's more
Stop
than that,
fucking
but
us
it's
around.
so good though. It's the best.
Is it
It is
that
literally
long?
the best doco.
Did you see it in the movies when it first came out?
Yeah. Yep. That was amazing.
2010. Is that how old it is?
What?
If you'd asked me how old that was, I would have said like 3 years.
5 years. Yep.
Yeah.
2010. It's 12 years
and
ago.
I'm way off. It's an hour and 46 minutes. Sorry, Reece.
Yeah, it's a proper
longer than I
full-length
said.
doco.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Anyway, we really went away from everything we was,
Yeah, we were going to keep this short because it was only a review, not even a preview.
We've pushed it to 60 minutes.
We're an hour deep. Now deep. All right. Well, that's good. In summary, good job, DeVries. Sort out safety cars, race control. Reece, watch fucking Senna. What else?
And
Oh,
let's
do we
hope
have
it.
tips? No, we're going to do a preview next week. Yeah,
And let's hope an IndyCar driver gets a go in F1 at some point. Basically.
Well, yeah. I mean, agree to disagree over who that should be, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't care about her. I don't care who it is. I'd like to see Scott, but I think we'd both like to see Scott, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Because he's a nice fella.
Yeah, lovely bloke. I was just thinking back to Just Send It when we were all in like a private Discord and some of the shit. Good fun.
Oh.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Dude. It's a story for another day. All right. You know what we never came back? You know what we never ever came back to? Is on our very first episode, I was in the Maldives and I was there with someone who knew Max.
Oh.
And I'd seen a photo that I'm not supposed to have seen, and we were going to talk about that. And I dangled that on the first episode. I was like, we might come back to that one day. And you were like,
but here we are at episode 14.
Yeah, and we still haven't told you. Anyway, if you
We're not going
to, if you want to know what it is, you have to jump on Instagram and send us a DM and say spill the goss on
what you
Max.
saw.
Spill
the goss on Max.
And if we get enough DMs, maybe we do it. And if
maybe we'll
then
actually tell the world.
Yeah, and if we don't, well,
like all I can say is, answer me this question.
Do you know what it is? Have I told you?
Yeah, I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, go on.
It's generic question, but answer me this. Below average or above average? That's my question.
I think you're giving away what it is.
No, I'm not.
So clearly.
Anyway,
no.
You can tell me.
That's
all right.
That's the
what
best.
Are you going to get in trouble for? I don't think Max is sitting there listening to our podcast.
No, but I'm trying to get listeners and fans out of this, mate. I'm trying to milk it.
You're trying to milk this fancy this made up Max thing for all it's worth for like 28 weeks now.
Well, this is only the second time I've mentioned it, to be honest.
We forgot about it.
I completely forgot about it. Anyway, yeah, good stuff. All right.
That was funny. Oh, why is all the funniest bits at the end of the episode?
I know, you should always.
We're so boring prior.
You know what you should do? I've just had a thought to tell you.
Oh, here we go.
Get like the best, most interesting, funniest bit, 20 seconds max. Put it at the start of the episode, then roll intro, then roll episode. You know how like YouTubers do that and whatnot?
Yep.
Like grab an interesting bit, put it at the start, just to tease everyone. Just give them a little. Yep. There's an idea. Anyway,
has either of us got time to do that?
No, it's probably not much harder than maybe we should remember the only right way you'll have time for it is remember. We'd just be like, oh, I said something.
1
That was
minute.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
1 hour, 53 minutes in, Andre.
You reckon everyone needs to listen to us talk about this?
Andre said, yes, it's
editing
organic.
tips.
It's natural. It's transparent. Geez, I look bad. Is that because I'm sick, or do I always look this shit? Closer to the light's okay.
Hey.
When I'm back here, look at those shadows under my eyes when I'm back here.
Jesus.
And then this isn't too bad. Oh, it's still not
We
great.
forgot to talk about my Sandown experience on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, we did. Are we far too deep into this episode? Should we do that next week? What do you want to do now?
I would have forgotten about it.
By then?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say it. I've driven some wet races in my time, but I have never in my life experienced something like I went through on the weekend.
So, whoa up, mate. You're burying the lead here. Like, back it up. What were you racing and why and etc.? Give some context. Not everyone here knows what the fuck you're talking about.
I was racing GT World Challenge in Australia at Sandown Motor Raceway in the KTM GT2 with Vantage Racing. There you go, which is my t-shirt I'm wearing here. Vantage Racing. And it was really wet. Really wet.
Across the whole weekend? Or
Friday was dry. But we came to race one on Saturday and it was raining, and then I got in the car. There's two drivers. I got in about 25-minute mark, whatever it was. Got in, and I got a radio call, and the radio call was, "Oh, mate, I was up the back of the track. Mate, just letting you know, it's really raining down here in pit lane." And when I say really, it's like a monsoon. I was like, oh no. And
where did you drive into it? Not over the crest.
Well, it was already wet, right? And then I got to the main straight, and it was I couldn't see from the rain, let alone spray. I could not see through the windscreen. It was raining that hard. Man, I was scared. And this car's got 650 horsepower or something. It's got 580 kilowatts at the wheels. It's absolute weapon. And it was frightening. They pulled the safety car out just to try and hold the field.
Yeah.
And ended up red flagging it. But I was going down the straight at 82 kilometers an hour in second gear and almost binned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Aquaplane.
I wish
Scariest.
I wish you had.
Yeah, no, nice.
Something funny to give you shit about. That would have been grouse.
I've never seen. The car was raining inside. Like it was dripping on me. It was so bad.
Really?
It was, it was scary. And there's a couple of drivers in our class. I'll say them. You would have heard of Garth Tander and Shane Van Gisbergen, two very well respected drivers in Australia. Yeah, he was in it. And they both said that is the worst race they have ever driven in, and they've done a lot more than I have. And then Sunday backed it up, and it was exactly the same. I actually thought it was worse.
But they did the race. But they finished.
Yeah. They circulated us under safety car for 5 laps, and then they ended up red flagging it for 45 minutes.
And sending us back then went again. Yeah, okay. That video you sent me was that in practice where that bloke had spun?
That was Tander that almost hit me, yeah.
Can you post that? Are you allowed to post that? Or is that?
Okay. I'll just ask Garth.
It's pretty interesting.
There's to give some clarity. Someone spun in front of me. And then I went to move out the way of them, and then Garth went the other way in behind me and almost hit the car that was stopped. It was pretty bad. Very close. He thanked me for moving out, for giving him room, because he ended up going between both of us. So I went really hard left around a piece of bodywork on the track. I went hard left against the wall. I don't know how I didn't hit the wall, to be honest. I went that hard left, and he went between us. It was, pretty scary.
Oof.
Anyway.
Was there yellows out? What's he doing?
No yellows. Okay. It literally just happened.
Yeah, fair call.
But Sandown, you come onto the back straight and it's all single file.
Yeah.
And I was here and I just pulled out and he went, oh!
Oh, that's the worst, isn't it? When someone pulls out in front of you and reveals like a shit fuckery in front of you.
Well, I saw it well ahead because the car in front of me went around it and I was like, oh, right, okay. And he just didn't see it. Unlucky. He was up my gearbox trying to get a tow.
Could have been a lot worse. Could have been a real big shunt.
Anyway. We went off topic.
Oh, that's yeah. That's a fair waffle. That sounds fun though.
Yeah, it was.
When next? When's your next?
Bathurst in
adventure?
November. We've got a
what?
3-hour
How many?
3-hour enduro.
I think I'm coming in November for a visit. When is it? November?
Like 15 to 17 or something. You might have to pop out. Just a 3-hour enduro. Just do a few laps around Bathurst. Anytime you do laps at Bathurst is an amazing experience. So can't wait for that. And then
Sounds fun.
and then we'll do some testing, and we've got the Bathurst 12-hour end of January. 2 Bathursts in 3 months. How lucky am I?
Sick.
Very fortunate.
Life's all right, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Life's all right.
And you're going to do the Macau GP next year.
Well, if you can find me a seat.
I'll find you a seat. If you put your hand in your pocket, I'll find you a seat.
I got a test. I'm not going there having not driven anything for 10 years.
Will you make it a DTF1 car? Black with our logo on it. We make it look sick.
Yeah, maybe actually matte black. Ooh,
that would look tasty.
Right.
Oh, no, yeah, let's do it. I'll make it happen. I think you should do a GT race. I think you'd make it easier for you in GT.
I just haven't really driven much tin tops. I think I'm more comfortable in an open wheeler.
Not with downforce. You haven't driven open wheeler with downforce, though, to be fair.
Do they have much? Formula 4? I don't think they have much.
Oh.
They weren't much faster than Formula Ford, right?
I actually don't think they do F4 there, do they? I think it's F3 now.
Yeah, they do. No.
Oh, do they? Okay.
3 is the main show. Formula 3,
yes,
it's
true.
like the World Championship for Formula 3. It's like the end of season. Everyone who's ever on from every F3 series around the year, around the world goes there. And it's like the unofficial world champs. Or it's at least what it used to be. So no fucking way I'm not doing F3 around there. F4 though, which I saw photos of, yeah, could do.
I watched a video of it today randomly.
Did you?
Of Macau, and I was like, this joint's scary. It's crazy.
It's pretty wild. It's yeah.
You haven't raced in 10 years. That's cool.
Just jump in. That's why I say I got to test first. I'm not just jumping in a car there, having a seat fit on Thursday.
All right, I'll contact Prema. I'll email Prema Racing now. Yeah, why not? They're F4.
No, find an Asian team. I'm not fucking.
For Italian Championship, Prema, perfect.
Do they go to Macau though? I doubt it. I reckon it's just a round of the Asian Championship or something.
Pay them enough, they'll go anywhere.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
You could be teammates with Robert Schwartzman. Anyway, all right, I've gone off topic.
All right, massive tangent. Goodbye, everyone. Say hi to your mum for us.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah, I'm here. Don't tell me that cancelled it altogether.
No, surely not. It still says recording on my side.